in advance. So, all right, everyone. My name is Donovan. I'm the owner of Embark. We're an adventure travel company based in Portland, Oregon. I used to live on Mount Kilimanjaro at 5,000 feet in the highest village that borders the national park in a place called Fukeni. It was a long time ago in 2002 and 2003. And since then, I have been planning adventures on Kilimanjaro, many other places around the world. But let's get officially started. So this is the top of Kilimanjaro. I love this picture. If you've ever seen any Embark ads, this is just a great picture. And I love the energy of the people that are up there. If you have any questions tonight, you can email Donovan at Embark Exploration Co. Want to chat, want to talk, thinking about it a couple of years. That is where to find me. That's where you can find our website as well. Again, my background, planning expeditions, treks, mountain climbs for more than 20 years, including living in Kilimanjaro. Last March, I organized a group with 24 climbers and 109 porters. You're going to see a picture of that here toward the end. Am I right, Bobby, with the number of porters? I think I am. Anyway, that was the biggest trip, or close to the biggest trip that I've ever done in the past. So for those of you who have not done the Climbing Kilimanjaro 101, which is the kind of entry-level Kilimanjaro one, that next one is on October left, 5:30. It is going to be a Facebook Live. So with Facebook Live, you have to put interest in it or sign up for it, and Facebook will notify you before that. So I will drop that link into the chat later. And that's what I was just mentioning. Okay. This is called Secrets for Climbing Kilimanjaro. I've done tons of these Kilimanjaro ones. I'm trying to mix them up and do some different things. I'm also doing other things like Everest Base Camp and K2 Base Camp and other things here in the coming, but this is going to be a different version. And I'm going to try to build on these and get more and more advanced. But let's start. First secret. In the dry season, the summit can have snow. So I'm going to show you two examples of during the dry season and what it looks like in two separate dry seasons, almost the exact same dates. So here's our group in March of this year. And as you can see, the ground, right, is really, really dry. It looks great. It looks dry. You're at the top of Kilimanjaro. Now here is that same time, that same date, 1 year prior. So my point with that is that weather is not predictable on Kilimanjaro. Everyone wants to say, when is the best month to go? In general, many months on Kilimanjaro are the best time to go, about 7 or 8 months out of the year. However, it can totally change. We've had snow in September. It's a dry month right now. It's very dry in Kilimanjaro today, but we can have snow in a few weeks from now, and it's constantly changing. In general, Kilimanjaro is very moderate. But if you're planning around not having snow, which I know some of you have tried to do in the past, that's not always the case. I always get maybe 1 to 3 trips per year where people are going expecting it to be nice and then they get bad weather. So that's the secret on Kilimanjaro. Number 2, even days tend to be harder. So if we look right here, I've kind of penciled in the even days meaning day 2, day 4, day 6, right? So your first day on Kilimanjaro is easy, just getting up to the starting point. But your second day to Shira Camp 1 is a harder day. It's a lot harder, and that's due to actually sun exposure. Day 3, 1,000 feet across the Shira Plateau, an easy day. Day 4, you're going to do an acclimatization hike, which we're going to see here in a sec. And before you come down to Barranco Camp at 13,000. And then finally, the big red line that looks like a sideways T, that is your day 6 to 7. Obviously, 7 is an odd day, but that is a blended kind of day, and that is the hardest day on this entire trip, on your trip. So remember that if you're hiking it, but even days tend to be harder. And again, here's that second day. So that second day when you're coming out of the rainforest and you're going to start working your way up all of these hills, if the sun is out, which it is quite often, it can be a hard section of the trip for people to climb 6-7+ hours. It's a big, big day. So number 3, your phone works on the last half of the trip, assuming there is no cloud cover. Now, a lot of people have jumped on me in the past and said, well, you promised I could do this, and I can never promise anything. All I can tell you is 15 years ago, I was using my phone on Kilimanjaro before people were even talking about using there. I have seen Facebook Lives on Kilimanjaro. I've seen most people be able to use their phone. Now, if you're paying attention to the news in the last few days, you'll notice something. At the bottom, you see Kilimanjaro now has wireless. That was an announcement that came out where they say that Kilimanjaro now has wireless all the way up it. We have 25 people on Kilimanjaro in different groups right now, and we're testing that this week. So that's very, very cool. So Facebook Lives, you can talk on the phone on the summit. So that is a secret of Kilimanjaro. I've seen it done. There's no specific carrier. You do not need a SIM card to do it, but your phone can work on Kilimanjaro a lot of the time. And even there are parts earlier in the trip, not on day 1, only one rock on day 2, not on day 3, not really on day 4, but starting there, going forward to Lava Tower, you typically have access to your phone. Drinking water helps get you to the summit. This is very, very, very important. If any mountain climbers are out there this evening, you'll know that hydration and acclimatization go hand in hand. You have to drink water to get yourself up Kilimanjaro. Some of you on this know this already. Many of you probably do not. You should be shooting for 3 liters of water, sometimes even more, as you make your way. So why is that? Loss of water due to more urination, very, very big, right? Loss of water due to increased heart rate, rapid breathing, okay? The air is drier. And even not at elevation, just in your general day-to-day, you should be drinking at least 2 liters of water today. I've got water right here. I'm gonna drink it right now. But this is important. So I've seen people who thought they were going to be very, very successful, not hydrate and fail. Seen athletes fail. I've seen people who I didn't think would make it, hydrated. I'm just saying, if you're looking for competitive advantage, you have to drink water. So 3 liters, you should be eating all the food and drink all of that soup that we provide you going up the mountain, right? And at higher elevations, you don't feel like eating and you don't feel like drinking, but it is very, very important. Water, just so you know, does come from streams and is treated. It doesn't come from this part of this stream, but it was the only stream picture I could find recently. So, and also in relationship water, we like for people to use both Camelback and a water bottle. I've seen Camelbacks pop, not often, but I've seen things happen. And I've seen people lose their water bottles, drop out, including mine, and roll down a hillside unable to get it. So water, important, drinking it, planning for it, and eating food. Number 5, most people get light level altitude sickness, AMS, around Lava Tower. That is day 3.5. That is between Shira 2 and Barranco Camp. Usually the next morning, they are fine. And I'm saying usually 90% of the time they are fine, 10% of the time they are not. And we have to take them via the Umbwe route down the mountain as quick as we can. But generally, I receive reports daily on Kilimanjaro people and what's happening. I was notified that there were some people up there today that have light levels of headaches. Usually those headaches happen when they're going up to 15,000 feet. They get down to 13, they hydrate, right? They sleep, eat, wake up the next day, and usually they're fine. So light level altitude sickness around Lava Tower does happen. This is the route up to Lava Tower. So Lava Tower is this little notch right up here, right? It's actually quite nice. And this group is making their way a few hours. So they started at 13,000 feet. They're going to come all the way up. This is 15,000 feet. So they're over 14 right now. They're going to be right here. Eat, and they are going to drop back down. But generally in this area, this is where you get the people. This is also the point of no return for the easy way out. So there's actually a road about 5 hours back at Shear Camp 2 that people can be emergency or can be taken off the mountain. So this is a way. So this is Lava Tower. You're going to continue around the south side of the mountain, right? For those of you who are mentioning the Western Breach tonight, you actually would go up the mountain this way. So anyway, very, very important for that piece. Here's Lava Tower. That's the acclimatization hike that I mentioned back on the map, right? 15,000 feet. And here's the kind of a visual of Lava Tower up there. So you can see it from lots of different distances, but this is kind of one of the little bit iconic areas that people know about as they're starting to get into the higher elevation of Kilimanjaro, right? It's a lot of work to get up to 15,000 feet. You're already 4.5 days in of hiking, right? So Lava Tower, altitude sickness sometimes. All right. Summit night is the hardest 12 to 16 hours of your life. It is really hard. Kilimanjaro is a series of day hikes with a 12 to 16 hour hike in the mix. Okay. And that is true. And I know that there's a couple people on this call tonight that have been on previous trips before and are going on future trips as well. But this is going to be the hardest 12 to 16 hours of your life. I don't care if you're a mountain climber. I don't care if you're an athlete or you've been up this or that. It is hard. It is really hard. And it's hard for a number of reasons. It's hard because you will have just hiked for 6 days prior, right? You will have just slept outside. So I'm going to take you through what this group kind of looks like mixed with another group. So here's a group that is prepping for their summit night. So summit night, wake up at 11, eat some food. And here's this group right here.
Hey guys, what are we doing?
Climbing Kilimanjaro.
Okay, so that's a group that is starting to climb Kilimanjaro, right? This is the excitement piece. And remember, this is that 12 to 16 hours hardest of your life. Now remember, you will have arrived at that camp before and you're going to try to sleep from 6 or 7 to 11 o'clock at night. You're going to get up, you're with them, you're going to get ready, and then you're going to get ready to go. And then you're going to start the night hike, right? And this is that hike, right? And so as you're going up this, and I love this picture more than anything. If it is windy, you might take a 3-minute break every hour for 8 hours, right? So that's hard to do. And wind is the deciding factor. If you were asking me, do you want to climb Kilimanjaro in the snow, wind, or rain? All I do is I don't want to do it in the wind, right? The wind really, really chills the body down, makes it a lot harder. And it's windy on there often on Kilimanjaro. So sometimes in these scenarios, because it's windy, you don't want to stop moving. So imagine hiking, and you're hiking slow, 1 mile per hour, right? Slow, taking a step. It's in the middle of the night. You're going to hike for 8 hours, and you're going to get a 3-minute break every 8 hours. It's hard. It's really, really hard. So I never want to discount it. Sometimes people, like my wife didn't think it was last time she went, but sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But in general, if it's windy, it's hard, right? So this is another group kind of on there as they're making their way up the mountain. The sun's starting to rise, but it can be hard. And the hardest part is from about 4 to 6 in the morning, right? So you've been going for a long time and you're watching the sun and you want to start warming up. So when the sun starts to warm up, you definitely start to feel a little bit better, but this is that final part to Stella Point. So Stella Point is the ridge before you hike over to Kilimanjaro. Just real quick, if anyone wants to submit questions into the chat thing, I will answer them here at the end of the meeting. Okay, so here's our group getting to Stella Point. I just thought I'd put this little kind of video in.
Oh yes, big smiles, big smiles. Hey dude, yeah, how are you? I'm good, doing fantastic. Ah, all right, give me a smile there, sir.
So a lot of these people looked fine, but what you have to understand is this is probably the first 40% of their climb. They've got a lot more to go. And so they've been spending 7 or so hours getting up to this ridge, Stella Point, which we're going to look at. So from Stella Point, the ridge, which some people do stop at and turn around, the summit is close, but it is mentally far away. Okay, so here's Carrie getting up to that 18,885 feet, but this is, I got to change that. This is where they get up to the ridge, and this is where they have to hike over to, right? So doesn't seem like a lot, right? 600 feet or so, right? But it's hard. It's hard because you have half the oxygen that you have at sea level. You're walking slow. You think you've made it, but it's a false summit. Stella Point is a false summit. The false summits suck, right? And so you think you're up there, you're warming up, you're overwhelmed. It's just kind of looking right every time you're kind of going around this corner, right? You're not quite there. So that section right there, on average, 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, so that's another hour on that 7 or 8 hours getting up there. You're going to get over to the summit of Kilimanjaro. It's hard. It's really hard, right? And for a number of reasons. So your average amount of time at the summit after 8 hours is 5 minutes. So we took our last 2 years and kind of looked and averaged things out, and it's 5 minutes, right? So 7 or 5 minutes. Now, I've been on top of Kilimanjaro for over an hour in a t-shirt hanging out, not windy, right? I have been at the summit for a minute, and I'm like, let's get the hell out of here. Average is 5 because it's windy, right? The last time I came to Kilimanjaro, which was in March of this year, it was busy, so we were up there. But again, people get cold. Everyone's trying to get their summit picture, and people want to get out of there. So your average time is usually only 5 minutes. So some reasons why, right? Very cold, right? People often don't feel well. Weather systems change quick, right? They change up there really quickly. Kilimanjaro has a weather system that comes in on average every day and clouds up the whole top at about 10 or 11 in the afternoon on average, right? And then you still have 7 to 9 more hours of hiking. So all of those factors kind of go into play. I have been up on Kilimanjaro and started to get altitude sickness, kind of a little bit confused, dreary through the whole night, and actually forgot for just a second where I was kind of wondering, like, what am I doing up here? Until someone kind of shook me and said, "Hey, Donovan, what's going on?" So, people don't feel well. You start to get AMS. You need to get down there because remember, you started at a little over 15,000 feet. So very important. Here was a recent summit, or this was the summit in March. So again, this is drier.
Korea.
So busy for sure. Busy for sure. But as you can see, you could hear the wind on that experience, right? That wind can really kind of wipe people out. So this is what you hope for in Kilimanjaro. You hope for a couple people, you hope for a sunrise and no wind. I love this picture. And the pictures of the glaciers just don't really do it justice. The hardest part is also that 10,000 foot descent, right? So everyone's like, I'm going to go up 4,000 feet and descend 10,000. Well, why do they do it that way? The park's designed it that way. There is an advantage to it. Generally in the higher parts of above Millennium Camp, it can be really windy and we just want to get everyone out of the wind, and it's safer to get closer to 10,000 feet where people feel better. So the hardest part is that descent. So this is what a lot of the descent, the initial descent. So let's say the first 40% of the descent, the first half of the descent back to Barafu Camp where you started, right? So this is that, lots of scree that you can step on, that you can slip. This isn't even the steep part, but I mean, you hike in this 4 hours. There isn't one true way. There's like kind of a way down, but there's different ways that kind of splits and goes in relationship to the trail for the people kind of coming up. But this is what it looks like, right? These are up there for a reason. There are a lot of these on Kilimanjaro, and a lot of time we put people in these things to bring them down. So people make it to the top. They may get back down to Barafu camp, and then they cannot continue on. So these are used for a reason. We had this used on a recent trip just last month, and people get in these and you lay in these, and we put guides and porters on each side, and we wheel you down the mountain. I'm not saying 1 person out of 10 gets on one of these. I'm just saying that they're up there for a reason. It does happen. People, a lot of times it's people just lose their physical ability to keep walking. I was with the group, and I had a client say to me, I cannot continue on from Barafu camp. We'd summited, come back down. I cannot continue on. There's no option. You have to go down and descend back down the mountain. Otherwise, your final day is just ridiculous. So these are up there for a reason. And this is the River Rock. And this is the second part of that 7-8 hour trip on the second part. So remember, you've already maybe not slept the night before, climbed up 7 or 8 hours, come back down, and now you're descending on this. And this is an endless bed of river rock, and it's painful and it's hard and it's not nice. And this is actually a good looking section of this. And this goes forever and ever and ever and ever. It's a quick way down. It's a quicker way down, but again, it's painful. So think about this. You're starting at midnight. You're getting up to the top. You're not going to really stop the next day, depending upon how fast you hike, anywhere from probably 3 p.m. to 6 or 7 p.m. That's the window. So that's an enormous day of hiking. In the middle of that, you will hopefully get an hour break to eat, lunch, maybe sleep, but it's a big, big day. And I always say it's a huge mental and physical challenge, right? So many people, including myself, have trouble sleeping due to altitude and anxiety the night before. I can tell you on my last probably 4 summits of Kilimanjaro, I've not slept the night before. I just can't. I can't. It's too much. So it's a lot of people. So think about that. You've just hiked the day before, got into camp. It's a short day. Hopefully you can take a nap. Hopefully you can sleep. If you don't sleep, then you're going to climb all the next day and out the next day. So it's a big, big, big day. So after 6 days of hiking with limited sleep, you have 14 to 16 hour hike ahead of you. I couldn't find a good picture for this, but I want people to know that this is the truth. Okay. Most people get very emotional at the summit, and I'm going to show you this great video, and it's just a minute or two here and there.
For years, people have been telling me to get my head out of the clouds. I went the opposite way. I went above them. Get.
Oh, wait, turn.
Oh, there she is.
All right, this is
Right
his
there.
piece when he makes it to
Head
the
it on
summit.
up. Bye. Day 7, summit day. We made it, and they are correct. It is the hardest thing you could ever do, ever. I've never been so emotionally drained or cold, tired physically, and just destroyed. But that sign behind us, we did it. We did it together. We did it as a couple. And now we're never going to do anything like this in our life again. I want to sit on my couch with my doggies now, and I miss my sons. And I love my wife with all my heart. We did it. Bonnie. Hi.
Yes, so they did it. And remember how he said, I'm never going to do anything like this again. I never do. He signed up for another adventure next year. So yes, you keep doing this kind of stuff. But as you can see, you get emotional at the top. It is a huge mental and physical challenge, and it is a release of all of that energy. So next secret, the Barranca Wall is not as hard as it looks. You see lots of these pictures, Instagram and things like that, and everyone's taking these angles. It looks hard as you look at it, but it actually is not on the trail. So here's kind of the camp, and this is the lava rock that you're going to climb. And there's actually a trail that winds its way all the way up through here, right? And it kind of keeps going and goes all the way up, right? So that is Lava Tower. So here's kind of a closer picture. And you can't, as you get closer, it does look intimidating, but once you get on the trail, it's a very reasonable to climb. Here's a little video from one of our guides, Jim, talking about it and showing some other clips.
The Barranca Wall is a unique section of the climb of Kilimanjaro. It's unlike anything else that we encounter. It's a zigzag trail that cuts its way through the lava rock of the Barranca Wall for about 800 feet to the top. It will take us about an hour and a half to 2 hours to ascend that distance. And while there may be a few places along the way where some climbers may feel a little bit insecure, it is certainly nothing to fear. It should be approached with anticipation, but certainly not fear.
Thanks, Jim. All right. One of the favorite ones that I was writing. Many people poop on summit night. That's something that happens a lot. Wait till you see this picture. Just kidding. I'm not going to show you a poop picture, right? But here's some things to know. Bring toilet paper and wet wipes for that. Cover it up and pack out the toilet paper, right? But communicate to the group. Okay, this is really, really important. I've had a number of instances where a large group of people were all mixed up. We still have our guides in the back and from, and someone kind of slides off in the middle, goes back to go to the bathroom, and then that group starts walking and keeps going. It happened on our trip last March. There was someone that we were in the mix. We thought we'd had everyone. It is dark. It is cold. Everyone's walking. If you do get into this scenario, you must communicate to the group that you are leaving and you're coming back. It happens on Kilimanjaro, and you lose someone in the mix. So again, it happens to everyone. You're going to have to prepare for it. And a lot of times people have kind of got all their food in them and kind of ready to go, and there's no bathroom for a long time. So it happens. Remember that. All right. Most companies don't pay fair wages to the porters. Debated on putting this in. Maybe yesterday I should say some companies don't pay fair wages to porters. This is a project we're part of, Kilimanjaro Porters Assistance Project, paying fair wages for porters in the mountain, advocating for fair wages, ethical treatment. You look on all these trips and prices and things and hundreds of companies and stuff. Most companies that list a lot of companies online don't have an actual permit. They use someone else's. And then they also don't pay fair wages. And the porters kind of bank on the tip. Very important. Here's how much we love our porters. We raised for them more than $20,000 and distributed to over 40 families during COVID.
On behalf of Embark, I would like to thank you everyone who donate money to support our Kili team. Everyone is here. We have 45 crews here, and everyone is going home with 25 kgs of rice and 25 kgs of beans and 3 liters of cooking oil. Also, we gave them enough money for them to use with their family for a couple of months to come. So we really appreciate for everyone who donate anything to support our team. And we don't know how to thank you enough, but what we can say is thank you from the bottom of our heart, and thank you for saving us this time.
Anyway, just make sure that a company you work with is ethical. So the amount of porters and guides sometimes seems unreasonable, but it is not. So here, for example, is a group of 3, and I think we have over 12 people. This is the Western Breach, by the way, which we're going to talk about in a second. This is kind of a very cool mountaineering type way to go up the mountain. And Bobby, who's on tonight, this is what we should do with you at some point. Anyway, so lots of porters. Why do we have lots of porters? Your food, 23 meals per person times number of people. So a 10-person trip has 230 meals. Now, granted, we do have a resupply group that comes back up, but it is a lot of food. It is mostly food that the porters carry. So if you go to Everest Base Camp, you actually have half the number of porters based on clients. So you have 10 clients, you'd have 5 or 6 porters. Kilimanjaro, you have 10 clients, you're gonna have about 40 to 50 porters. So it's based on food. So food is reasonable. And if you bring good food, right, you have a lot of porters. It's just part of it. You know, they carry all the support equipment, ratio 1 client per, 4 to 5 porters, and it supports a big local economy. People like this job. They want to work. It is a good wage, and it supports a huge amount of people. So porters is a good thing, and they're wonderful people as well. So love many of them to death. Most quality companies own their own gear, do not rent it. So there are a lot of people, make sure if you're working with someone, you have a company that owns their own stuff.
Here we are at the base of Kilimanjaro. We're preparing for our Kilimanjaro climb tomorrow. I'm here with Freddie Chikima, our site director, and today we're going to show you all of the different gear that we use to prepare for your climb. Freddie, why don't you take us through some of the gear that we're going to be using on our climb?
Thank you very much. As you can see here, we have a mountain hardware tent. We have trekking poles up there. We have kit bags that we put our duffel bags and food carrying up on the mountain. We have portable toilets.
Right.
We have I think like 10 of them. 5 of them are brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have mountain hardware tent again here.
And these are Mount Hardware Trango tents. These are 3-person tents built for 2.
Sure. And then we have 12 mess tents here. And we have chairs down here. And then we have tables here. We have kitchen tents here. We have sleeping bags here. And we have another mountain hardware tents here.
I think you get it. The point is make sure if you're going up the mountain that whoever, or however you're working it, that they own their own stuff. So those with significant mountaineering experience or super adventurous types should climb the Western Breach. So the Western Breach is done by less than 1%. This is Aero Camp. This is the breach. This is, if you watch the video Kilimanjaro IMAX made maybe 20 years ago, it's free on Amazon, I think, Amazon Prime. This is the Western Breach. So this is like the Barafu camp on the main route. And here's the camp. And like I said, less than 1% of the people do this. This is the same thing, kind of 7 or 8 hours through the middle of the night, kind of working your way up this mountain. All day, rocks roll down this thing. You can see them all down here. Not all day. Some days they come down. So there have been a few accidents, maybe once every 10 years or something like that, once or twice every 10 years. We do go up this route. In fact, we have a group going up in just a few days, and this puts you into the crater of Kilimanjaro. So remember, the crater of Kilimanjaro is, the right where you're entering, where you can see down and look at all of the glaciers there. Very, very cool way to enter it. And so you kind of come up right here, and then there's some switchbacks that we make our way up to the summit. So this is the Western Breach. Now, for those of you who are interested in Crater Camp is right here. So Crater Camp is sleeping up here. So sometimes we do is we come up right here, we drop back down, we sleep, we come back up, and then we hike back down like that, right? So That's happening. If any of you are part of the group that's doing the Kilimanjaro coil next year, we're going to be coming and we're going to be hiking from this side of Kilimanjaro all the way around and then coming up right here and then going back down right here. So anyway, this is the Western Breach, mountain climbing types. This is a fun way to climb Kilimanjaro. It's my final thing for the night. I want to make this, I guess, wow, I'm already over almost 40 minutes. Mountain is spectacular, but much of the fun is the people. Here's our group of over 100 porters from our last time, and I can tell you Tanzanian culture, Tanzanian people, Chaga people, Swahili people are fun people, and I love them and I relate to them. So it's a lot of fun. People say, it was great climbing Kilimanjaro, amazing, but I love, you know, Wilfred or Frederick or, you know, Augustine and things like that. So again, keep in mind, a lot of the time it's about the people. So anyway, that's it for tonight. That's me, Donovan. I'm going to do about one of these once a month that are related to this mountain where Embark was founded 20 years ago. Here's our kind of core kind of leadership team here. And Freddie, my main guy. Here's Manasseh, he's a big trail runner up there, and Augustine and Frederick Sarimo and all of these are the guys that make it all happen. They're all on Kilimanjaro right now for all of our September groups, and there's Carrie and John as well. Anyway, again, climbing Kilimanjaro 101, October 11th, Facebook Live. So you need to go into the Facebook events page. And here's my 1 minute of shameless self-promotion, and then I'll answer questions.
Why did you decide to climb Kilimanjaro?
Well, it's something I've wanted to do for over 20 years. So I've researched it, I've read about it, talked to many people, and then Donovan came along. And that was a game changer. He's the game changer. He took time to talk to me, explain to me, called me, emailed me, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here. It's been a long time waiting, and I'm here. This is what I get to do. Thank you. Thanks, Donovan.
All right. Yep. So that's it for the evening. I'm going to jump over to questions. Dale, how does tipping work at the end? So we do one tip or to the individuals. So Dale, I know you're going on a trip here in a few weeks. That is in the private link. There's kind of an outline, but I will explain it to you. So at Karanga Camp, which is the day before Barafu Camp, they're going to give you a list of all of the different people that are on your trip. And on your trip, it's going to say the names. And the reason they give it to you at Karanga Camp is once you get to Barafu Camp, everything blends into one long day, which is actually 2 until you depart or until you get to Mueca Camp. So you kind of figure out, okay, we have these 10 guys and we're going to say this guy will get this amount, this guy will get this amount, and this guy will get this amount. And you kind of plan it out. You don't bring any of your money on the mountain. The money stays back at the hotel. You just notate it on a piece of paper, and that piece of or on an envelope. And once people write it onto that envelope, we do what's regarded as above the board tipping procedures based on the Kilimanjaro Porters Assistance Project, because the porter knows how much they're going to get, even though it's only said on the envelope. There's a long cultural history behind all of it. I fought against the process for many, many years. It's just a cultural piece that's been happening. So on average, most people bring $400 or $500, $600 per person on a trip. Some people tell me that's too much. Some people tell me that's too little. It's all over the board. To me, my belief with tipping is that if you like the experience, whatever, if you like the experience, you should tip. And if tip what you think is reasonable. I can't tell you how much to give to a certain person. We've seen no tippers, we've seen over the top tippers, and everyone kind of falls in between. So point being, he'll give you a thing, you'll write it down somewhere between Karanga Camp and before the end. So Karanga Camp is day 5. You're going to figure it out before day 8. And then you will write it on a piece of paper. Your money's back at the hotel, and those will be put into envelopes. So Joe Fahey, I have no doubt Embark and their guides are part of the best on the summit. Joe, thank you for saying that, because Joe was just there a few weeks ago, and Joe is going back to try again. He got really, really close. Questions. When you're looking at multiple trips, is there an option for a frequent flyer discount? Frequent flyer discount. Yes, if you've been on other trips before, we give discounts to people if you typically plan it within 6 months of ending your previous trip. Also, what is the max group for an Everest Base Camp? Trying to put a trip. Thanks, Sam. I think we've done a trip before with you. Yes, Everest Base Camp. I like to have groups 10-ish. 10-ish is a safe way to do Everest Base Camp. Everest Base Camp has some challenges that I'm not going to get into tonight. I am doing an Everest Base Camp presentation in a few weeks, Sam. If you want to watch that, that is a registration one, but you can see it in Facebook. So about 10 people in Everest Base Camp. That's a max size group right in there. So 2024. Remember March, April, June, July, or October, November. Another question. Have you ever had overweight clients make it to the top? Yes, we've had many overweight clients make it to the top before. And again, it's about hydration. It's again still about training. If sometimes we have a group that is slower, so we always have two things, a slow group and a slower group. And if that slower group wants to go slow, that's fine. We bring a lot of guides up there so we can have that happen, right? So we can split groups. We try to hold off on doing that in certain scenarios, but yes, we have people do it all the time. So got a question from Geraldine. Is there a good experience for a solo traveler? So if you're a solo traveler, you should try to find a group before you go, right? One person going over there trying to climb it. Expensive, might be kind of just you and the guide and 4 or 5 porters looking at each other. So maybe try to find a group to join if you can. Any other questions out there? Don't see anything. Bueller. All right, well, listen, it's been nice meeting you. My Swahili name is Mzungu Kicha. I look forward to maybe talking to some of you in the future. You know where to find me. I'm going to be doing, I think, a whole series of classes related to different things. I'm just getting going, but I am doing the Kilimanjaro 101, I think in October. So make sure to check that out. There'll be an updated version. Dale, if you want to call me and talk about it, please call me. I see your message. Anyway, thanks for everyone tonight. Look forward to talking to some of you in the future. Ooh, last question. Conditioning program. Yes, lots of cardio. Yeah, essentially there's lots of cardio. What I'm going to do, Scott, since you're doing that, I'm going to attach a training plan into this, and you can look at what a training plan looks like. And by the way, if anybody wants a training plan or whatever, reach out, email me. I should have actually put this in earlier. I'm going to actually I can just put it all in right now. So I'm going to upload a couple different things. I'm going to do a workout guide, and I'm going to do a gear list. And you can download that right now. So anyway, and I'll put a map in there too. So anyway, thanks everyone. It was great talking to you. And I hope you all enjoy your future adventures. Thanks.